Anybody remember this book from kicking around the church when you were a little kid? The boy who gave his lunch away? Well, I actually kind of like these 60s era kids books. But there are some things that you read about and you hear about when you're a little kid. And how do you go about when you're older looking at that same passage of Scripture? Well, we're going to pick up this one today in our 5-minute devotional from this book instead of this version. After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Jesus went up the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Lifting up his eyes then, and seeing that a large crowd was coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat?" He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number. Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so the fish also as much as they wanted. When they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, "Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, "This indeed is the prophet who has come into the world." Perceiving then that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, Jesus withdrew again to the mountain by himself. So Jesus is getting popular, and there's starting to be a big crowd of people coming after him, probably partly because he's performing miraculous signs, and maybe they want to be healed or to have one of these miraculous signs done to them or in their presence. And so there's a big crowd, and Jesus is looking at them. He's like, "Oh, these people are going to get hungry. What are we going to do, Philip? How are we going to buy all this food for all these people?" And Philip takes a look at this number of people, and he's like, not even like half a year's worth of wages are going to do this. And I don't care how much or little you make. That's at least tens of thousands of dollars for what Peter was thinking was going to take to feed all these people. And of course, they don't have that kind of money. Where would you even buy that much food out in such a place? So what's really interesting here is Philip, instead of just giving up, he's like, "Well, there's a kid. He's got some snacks. Huh?" And it's, in a way, it's just ridiculous. It's like you've got thousands of people. 5,000 is just counting the dudes, the men. So maybe could be 20,000 people, counting all the people. And Philip's like, I got these snacks that this kid's willing to share. And the amazing thing is, like, Jesus is like, "Okay, let's do this." And he gives out the snacks and everybody gets fed. But, so, how often, when we have some kind of a problem in life, and you're looking at, okay, this is a huge problem is this big, I have this much ability to solve this. What am I going to do? And I would encourage you, whatever your little bit is, give that to Jesus and see what he's going to do with it. So, all these people get fed, and disciples go around and pick up the extra bits. And they got 12 baskets. How many people is that going to feed? 12. And of the extra bits laying over. And I think it's really interesting what Jesus says here. He says, "Gather up the leftover fragments that nothing may be lost or that nothing may be wasted." So, I mean, I think if one of us had the power, miraculously, to take a tiny bit of food and make it as much food as you wanted. Food, wine, whatever it is. You wouldn't be worried with things getting wasted. You're like, I can always make more. But God apparently, even though he has infinite creative ability, cares about whether or not things get wasted. I think that's interesting. And lastly, what the crowd does is they try to take him by force, Jesus, and make him king. The thing is, he actually is the king, but he's not the kind of king that they were thinking. And this is something that we have to spend the rest of this gospel figuring out, is what kind of king is Jesus? And he apparently wasn't the kind that these people were thinking of, so he kind of had to run away from them. But what kind of king is Jesus? Well, we'll keep finding out as we go along here.